Hi boys and girls, so I'm doing topic 8-7. We're going to be dividing 4-digit by 1-digit numbers. So I'm going to read my problem. It says a high school football stadium has 6 sections that each seat the same number of people. A total of 1,950 people can be seated in the stadium. About how many people can be seated in each section? Is your estimate greater than or less than the actual answer will be? Okay, so lots of stuff in this problem. I'm going to do my cubes, circle my important numbers. So we have 6 sections. We have 1,950 people. Okay, I'm going to underline my question about how many people can be seated in each section. Is your estimate greater or less than the actual answer will be? So I have 2 questions in this problem. I'm going to write down the first one. It says about how many people in each section. Okay. My second question is the estimate greater or less than actual answer? Okay. Now I'm going to box in keywords. So I have that word each. Okay, like I said, each can tell me that I'm either going to multiply or divide. I have same number, total, about, each again, estimate, greater or less. Okay, so I know my total. It already tells me 1,950. Like I said, the each, I'm either going to multiply or divide. I'll figure it out in a little bit. This word about we haven't seen in a while. About, remember, tells me that I'm going to round. So some point in this problem, I'm going to round. And I want to see if my estimate is greater or less than the actual answer will be. Okay, so I'm going to do my get because I need to figure out, am I going to be multiplying or dividing? So my groups, my each, my total. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it over here. So my total, it already tells me 1,950 people. So I'm going to write that down, 1,950 people. If each is in my question, that means I do not know it. And my groups will be my 6 sections. So if I know my total, I know my groups, but I'm looking for my each, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to be dividing 1,950 divided by 6. Okay. Now, before I do that, it's telling me that word about. So I need to round first. Okay. So if it does not tell me where to round, I round to the nearest left. So that means my 1's my baby, my 9 is my mom. If my mom is 5 or more, my baby is going to round up 1 more. So the 1 is going to round up to a 2, and everything else will turn into zeros. So now I have 2,000 divided by 6. Okay. For this, I'm going to make my box. Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 digits and 2,000, I'm going to make 4 sections in my box. Okay. My 2 goes in the first one, 0 in the second, 0 in the third, and 0 in the fourth, and 6 will go on the side. Okay. I can write my steps down, so I'm going to be dividing, multiplying, subtracting, bringing up, repeat. Okay. So I ask myself, how many times can 6 go into 2? Okay, 6 cannot go into 2, so that means I'm going to put a 0. I divided. Let me make a different color. I divided. So now I'm going to multiply 6 times 0 is 0. I subtract 2 minus 0 is 2. I bring up, I get 20. I'm going to do row over, start over. So I go all the way back to divide. And I ask myself, how many times can 6 go into 20? That will be 3. So I put 3 on top. Okay. And just to show you guys how I'm getting it, if I go down to 6, I need to find 20 or less. 24 is too big, so I get 18. I go up, that's how I get 3. Okay. But we've been doing this for quite a while now, so we should somewhat kind of know. I divide it, so now I multiply. 6 times 3 is 18. I multiplied, now I subtract. I cannot do 0 minus 8. Take away from the 2, it becomes a 1. 0 becomes a 10. So 10 minus 8 is 2. And I bring up my 2. And I do row over repeat, so I go all the way back to divide. Again, I ask myself, how many times can 6 go into 20? I already know it from the past one, it's going to be 3. So I divided, so now I multiplied 3 times 6 is 18. Now I subtract, I cannot do 0 minus 8, take away from the 2, it becomes a 1. 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. I subtracted. Now I bring up my 2. And now I do row over, start over. So I go back to divide. Again, 6 can go into 20 3 times. I divided. Now I multiply. 6 times 3 is 18. Now I subtract. I cannot do 0 minus 8. Take away from the 2, it becomes a 1. 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. And I subtracted. So that means my answer is going to be 333. Okay, but I'm not done yet because now it says, is your estimate greater or less than the actual answer? Okay, so now I need to divide it, but I'm not going to be using 2,000. I'm going to be using 1,950. I want to see, are the answers greater or less than each other? Okay, so now I'm doing 1,950 divided by 6. Again, I'm going to make my box. I'm going to have 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4. Put 1 in the first one, 9 in the second one, 5 in the third one, 0 in the fourth one. 6 will go on the side. I can put my steps, divide, multiply, subtract, bring up, repeat. Okay. So divide. How many times can 6 go into 1? It cannot. It's a 0. I multiply. 6 times 0 is 0. I subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. I bring it up. Okay. How many times can 6 go into 19? Again, let me just show you how I'm figuring out these numbers. If I go down to my 6's, I need to find 19 or less. 24 is too big. So I have to get to 18. I go up, I get 3. So that means 6 can go into 19 3 times. Okay, let me move this. 3 on the top. I divided, so now I multiply. 6 times 3 is 18. Now I subtract. 19 minus 18 is 1. Now I bring it up, and I get 15. I do row over, start over. I go back to divide. So how many times 6 can go into 15? Again, I can look at this. Go into my 6's. I need to find 15 or less. 18 is too big. So I go into 12. I get 2. So I know that 6 can go into 15 2 times. Put it on top. I divided. Now I multiply. 6 times 2 is 12. Now I subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. Now I bring it up, I get 30, and I do rover start over. So I go all the way back to divide. 6 can go into 30 exactly 5 times. 6 times 5 is 30, and 30 minus 30 is 0. So if I do the actual problem, 1,950 divided by 6, I get 325, okay? So now I can answer my questions. First one, about how many people in each section. If I did it this way, when I use the about, tells me to round, I get 333 people. That's my first answer. Okay. My second answer is the estimate greater or less than the actual answer? So my estimate that I got was 333. My actual answer was 325. So I can say that my estimate is greater than the actual answer, okay? But as you can tell, even though this is greater, they are still around the same number. They're still very close, okay? When you're estimating, if let's say you get 400 here and you get 700 here, then you should know that you messed up because these numbers are not close to each other, okay? So you know it's right when your numbers are very close.